Welcome to the Employment Wednesday podcast with Yvonne Shabangu. Have you heard of the scripture Hosea 4 verse 6? My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The same applies to your career. When you don't know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you are likely to make wrong career choices. But worry not. Employment Wednesdays is here for you to offer you all the answers relating to your career and offer you strategies to develop your career. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. You are welcome to another episode of Employment Wednesdays. And today I'm sitting with my fave. And I'm a bit nervous. Now you guys bear with me, but I'm sitting with my fave. I'm sitting with Nompumelelo Ledwaba. I love calling your name in full, by the way.
I love hearing it too.
Yeah, I'm sitting with Nompumelelo Ledwaba. We know her as Mpoomy Ledwaba, Miss Mom, Girl Pearl. She is a digital entrepreneur. She's a podcaster, a content creator, a YouTuber, now a published author of How Did We Get You? Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so excited for this conversation because I feel like I get the exclusive.
100%.
Yeah. So today I'm sitting with my faith, and thank you so much for honoring my invite.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. I know I always give you your flowers.
Yes, you always literally there's no, if anything happens in my life, I know go to when, and in life, you have given me the whole garden.
Yeah, I give you flowers all the time. I just do want to say thank you so much for always sharing your journey, sharing yourself with us. It has played a pivotal parts in my life. I cannot explain how you being and just existing has changed me, and how I see myself and some of the things that I dare to dream. You've given me permission to dream. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to the icebreaker questions, which was so hard to do because we know you. Mpoomy loves her coffee.
Maybe you don't. Maybe things have changed, guys.
But we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, so the first one would be, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
A superpower. What would it be and why? I'd be able to make people disappear.
But why?
So I'd be able to make people disappear for a time. So I have the way my personality works now is that if you and I are scheduled to do an hour, I will give you the best hour of my life.
Okay.
Once that hour is done, I've got nothing left to give you.
Okay.
But now that's not how life works,
Sure.
And you're with people, so that's what I do. I'd use my superpower. Once my social bundles start going down, I'm like, kaposh, and everybody just disappears.
All right, I hear you.
That's a horrible superpower.
I know, but yeah. And then one must go. Your library or your coffee with oat milk. Yeah.
Well, fun fact, I've given up milk for the month.
Okay.
Oat milk for the month.
Okay.
So I am drinking black coffee.
All right. How's that going?
I enjoyed it. I got
Okay.
an Americano from Prismata this morning.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So I guess my oat milk
Okay.
coffee. I don't know about the whole coffee, but the oat milk can go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I get that. And then what do you think we don't know about you?
Well, after you read my book, you know absolutely everything.
Okay.
What do I think? I don't know. Do you know that I'm an introvert?
Yeah, you have
do
said
know
it
that?
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. I think I'm an open book, hey?
Okay, maybe let's say one misconception. Well, now I observe you differently, so maybe for the people that are going to watch, one thing that you think actually people always misunderstand about you.
Wow, a misconception. I think perhaps this is not, and I'm getting deep so early, but maybe it's not necessarily about me. And Dr. Zenda said it on my podcast that we don't have to be nice. We have to be kind.
Okay.
And the misconception is that nice comes with walk over me.
Okay.
Kind comes with I can politely say, no, thank you.
Okay.
Or tell the truth, but with kindness.
Okay.
So I think when Black women specifically put up their boundaries or say no or call things out, we are perceived as, oh, she's not nice.
Oh, yeah,
And it's
you
like, no,
mean.
actually, I'm not trying to be nice.
Okay.
I'm a kind person, but I will let you, my boundaries are very clear.
Sure.
What I feel is very clear, so that when I say it, if I'll let you know so that I can move on.
Yes,
so next time
I don't
see,
order it. I can be able to say hi the next time. Sure.
So it doesn't mean I'm not kind. It just means that I'm not a walkover.
Oh, okay.
So is that a good misconception?
It works because I think some people tend to think we're strict.
I am strict.
Okay.
I am strict. I am very strict. I am strict, but I also think I'm kind. I think I'm a nice person.
Yes.
I have fun, but I am very strict.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
if you've seen in my book, I've had to be strict. It's how I was raised. It's all I know. But I'm learning to, ease up a little bit. That's what kids do for you.
All right, no. I hear you.
Yeah.
And then now, we're gonna go into your high school life, right?
Okay.
And I know because I've read the book, right, and finished it.
Yeah.
And now it feels like I already have the tea, but I'm gonna ask some of the questions for those who don't know, right?
Yeah.
How was your high school life? Did you enjoy it? And maybe give us a highlight of your high school. One thing that you hold on to so dearly about high school.
Yeah, I think high school was a mix of both. Going in, I was very excited. But my first year of high school, I felt like I wanted to hide. I just wanted to hide. I felt a lot of shame. But as the years went by, I think because I was in such an Afrikaans school, we were almost invisible, which was such a gift that we got to be kids. We got to be free. I had amazing friends. And there's a picture that we have where we in our school uniform, and my friend Visa and I are climbing a tree, and we 16 years old at school, and we got to have so much fun. I got kicked out of class all the time, but my teachers loved me. So I was naughty, but I still did what they needed me to do.
Yes.
I played a lot. I enjoyed sports. I had good friends. I had amazing friends. So all in all, high school was really, really good. I think I was in such a good environment. But the only thing was that just that first year where I just felt I carried a lot of shame. But then throughout it was that. But there was also a lot of competition. I had extremely smart friends. All of them are accountants. All my friends from high school are well accomplished. There isn't one who isn't doing well.
Sure.
So that's the kind of circle of friends I have. Everybody's doing extremely well. And in terms of book smart, for me, it takes longer. I have to put in twice or three times the effort. And then I had to compete with these people, but I did it, and I think it developed so much in me. So all in all, high school was great. It was competitive. It was fun. It was I don't know about challenging, but no, it wasn't challenging. It was
a
fun.
good time.
It was a
having
good time.
Yeah. No, I hear that. In chapter 10 of the book, you say studying accounting was not a well thought out career.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In high school, given, let's say, you were not pushed by circumstances and the traumas you went through to force you to study accounting, what would you have studied as an informed career?
I think God is graceful in that sense that I really didn't know. And perhaps He allowed those circumstances to push me to accounting so I can meet the people that I meet and develop the work ethic that I developed and use some of those things in my business. But in high school, I was very different. Now, in my 30s, I would study psychology, or human behavior, or anything like that. But then, that's not who I was. I was very business-minded. I was very competitive, sporty. So I think when I talk about not fitting in, it's not necessarily about other people, but also just fitting in within myself. I was just, I don't think I really knew. I changed my mind. At some point I was going to be a dermatologist, and I think it's because my brother had
designer.
then I wanted to be a fashion designer, but this is in primary. And then you get to high school and people are so clear about who they want to be and what they want to do, and you're just but I also did religious studies as an extra subject, and I passed it with distinction. So, maybe those were the signs, but I didn't really know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now you were not sure, and then you apply at university, right? You decide, I'm going to do accounting. Did you have an alternative a subject that you're going to study or career path, or you just applied for accounting only?
I applied for accounting and finance at UP.
All right.
So both at UP. I applied only at UP and UJ. Because I knew I wanted to be in Gauteng. I had no desire to be
in other places.
And also, there was the desire to be like a musician. I knew there was something your entertainment.
Okay.
So that's why I needed to be in Gauteng.
Yes,
right?
okay.
I really
Creative
wanted to
industry.
be.
Yeah.
And also my boyfriend at the time was like in the. He was also in Gauteng, so I kind of needed to be in Gauteng.
Okay,
you know. But then I applied at UP. UP only took me for finance. They didn't take me for accounting. I think theirs is more CA stream or something like that.
Yeah.
And then UJ took me for both finance and accounting, and then I just went for accounting at UJ.
Oh, all right, love that.
I'm a big joke.
Okay, so do you think high school prepared you well enough for university, what you saw when you got there?
Yeah, it did. It did. I didn't struggle in varsity.
Okay.
At all.
Really?
I didn't struggle. No, I really, really didn't. In fact, what happened is my parents insisted that I go to res, which I didn't like.
Okay.
Like I said, I really, really, really love my space. And so the way I chose my res was that the res that I chose first years could get their own room.
Okay.
So,
yes,
I had to sing.
Okay.
I wouldn't survive. In fact, even in is it a dorm or whatever, in our block, there were 4 rooms, 4 single rooms.
Okay.
And the 3 girls, they shared their food, they cooked together. I didn't. I would join them. Like I'd cook my own food and then pop in and join them and stuff. And they hung out a lot together. And we were all friends. But I just always really needed to have my space. And I had good friends. I mean, my one friend, D, is like a lead in her. What she is, whatever she's doing. But she did accounting. She's doing extremely well. My other friend, brother Sizwe, he's now the conductor of the UJ choir.
Yes, I saw you actually reposted him.
So those are the people I was hanging out with, and so I didn't struggle. Like we were, and again, it's that thing of I always surrounded myself with people who were doing way better than me.
Okay,
and it's always exciting for me to be challenged. So I was challenged. Sizwe was great. Sizwe helped us with homework. D understood what we were. I had no idea what I was doing.
You were just
I was passing.
Okay.
I was passing, and I was getting into it because of my influence.
Yes, environment.
Yes, my environment. So no, I didn't struggle. I didn't struggle book-wise. Only my first test. That's how I met my best friend D. Because I failed the test, and then she literally came to me. She was like, "Girl, you're smart. Like we're gonna do this," and we did it. We ended maths with a distinction.
Nice.
End of first year. So no, I didn't struggle. I had no desire. You must tell me when I'm talking too much.
No, that's fine.
I had no desire to really have an extravagant lifestyle.
Okay.
I worked. I had a job throughout varsity. I studied for fun. My friend and I watched Being Mary Jane.
Yes.
And that was it. And we loved each other's company, and that was it.
Okay, so you had a simple life where you're like, I came to study.
Yeah.
That's what I will do. I'm not interested. Did you do any other extramural activities within uni?
No.
Or you just went to study?
I went to study. In fact, the whole, in varsity, when you're in res, there's a program you have to do. I forgot what it's called. And you have to call the elders a certain names or whatever.
Yes. Where you show them. It's like initiation.
Oh, yeah, goodness, I couldn't stand. I quit. I did.
Really?
I quit.
You're like, I'm not gonna be part
I was
of this.
like, I can't. And it was a big deal then. They were like, if you quit, this and that. And I was like, it's fine. I will be I will be the
black sheep.
The black sheep. No one has to like me. It's okay. And it was awkward in the beginning. No one had quit that program before. People took it very seriously. But I did it, and I was fine. Like at first, I felt very awkward. I felt a little bit of shame. I felt like, what did I do? Then afterwards, I'm like, no, man, I like this. Freedom.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And didn't you start with knowing that you met Dee and Sizwe? Did you meet them in uni?
Yes.
Or was it easy making friends for you?
Yes. So Sizwe's from my hometown, and we share a surname, although we're not related. But we share a surname.
You're
yes,
related.
we're both Bagamondlane, and we had met in our hometown choir, and we both loved music.
Sure.
And so we found each other there. And then, like I said, Dee and I, we had other friends. There was Kat, who's actually in our Do It October group right now. There was Kat.
Nice.
There was Zintle. Zintle I went to primary and high school with. We were like a crew.
Okay.
It's just like those became my people. And we met outside the exam hall. So we had written a test, and then we all failed, and then I dramatically cried while everyone was fine. I broke down and I cried, and that's how I made my friends, because they were like, okay, who's this girl now?
Crying.
And that's how I made my friends.
Well, you're the person who would like fail and then cry, go home, and be like, yo, I failed this test. I'm not sure what's happening.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right.
I would cry. I didn't do well with failing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, love that. And then, you did answer, did university prepare you? Okay, so actually you answered my question before I asked it.
I'm so sorry.
I wanted to know that obviously you then drop out, right?
Yeah.
Would you at any point want to finish that degree, or rather opt for a different degree? I know you did say psychology, but would you want to go back for the sake of completion?
I did want to. I really, really did. And I think even after my conversation with Nomzamo, at first I was like, no, I'm going to finish. And I was going to. I started doing some research on finishing. And then I sat down and I looked at my life. I've got 2 children. My husband's schedule is very busy. I have 2 businesses. I don't run out of creative ideas that I really always want to like act on. And there was just... going back to study accounting was more for proving a point that I can. And it goes back to everything I'm trying to unlearn, you know.
Yes.
I held on to the idea of I have to be Forbes 30 under 30 just so I can prove that, you know, and I think I've just gone to a point where I'm no longer proving my worth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing well. I looked at my life, I'm like, girl, you're okay, you know? If I had other reasons, like maybe it will help me in my business, and it would, but I have other expertise and I'd rather focus on my strengths.
Sure.
And then I hire people who finish the degree. And I hire those people who finish the degree and who are passionate. But I do have an understanding and I do read finance books, but no, I wouldn't finish. Do I want to study again? Absolutely. I considered psychology. I've been doing research. People who did psychology tell me it would be a waste for me to go study undergrad psychology. I should look into like more courses, etc. So yeah, I think it will happen in time. My kids are going to starting school soon. So when Zani goes into school, when my kids get out of that phase of like they just needing
more attention.
Me, and they in school and they want to be encouraged to study, then probably I'll pick up a book so we can all have study time together.
Okay, no, I love that. And then now that you've dropped out, right, you start your own business, right? You start a couple. Actually, you've done every business that we can think of, right? You start your different businesses, rather, or your first business. What was happening in your mind after you dropped out? Did you know that it's gonna work out in the end, or it was just a thing of I'm just existing, I just have to pick myself up and start the business?
You know, I think a part of me, I'm extremely optimistic. I think it's a gift that I get from my dad. I recognize that optimism is not, I don't think it comes naturally to everyone. And for me, it does come naturally. To a point where it's a bit of delusional sometimes.
There's even a term, I'm also very optimistic, right? But there's a term called toxic optimism.
I'm borderline like good toxic optimism. Like, it's like, girl, come on, please, man.
This is not going to work
calm
out.
Down.
Yeah.
So I knew that whatever I do will work out. And this goes back, and that's why I told so many stories of my dad, that everything I ever did, my parents affirmed and congratulated and invested in, and they showed up for. So every single business I started, even in my adulthood, my parents showed up for it. They affirmed it. They believed in it. And so, of course, the biggest what filled my mind the most was what did I just do? What's gonna happen? I should probably go back. I still can go back. And this is why it was important to not stay at home, because everyone was just like, no, you can go back. And I knew I could go back. I knew I could just pick up from where I left off and I'd be fine. But I knew that's not what God had called me out of, had instructed me to do. And so it was literally, I think of it now, and it was just one day at a time of just trying different things. I really didn't know what I was doing.
You didn't have a plan. Because also was about to think about it. Yes, we note that you walk out of the exam, but I don't think that's the moment where you're like, singing.
No.
It was probably over days where you're like, I'm not going back there.
Yeah, it was a long process. And even over years where I'd sit with Dee and be like, girl, this is not what I want to do. And she was so passionate about what she was doing. And Caesar was passionate about choir. And so seeing him being a conductor it's not shocking. It's like this guy would ditch class for that, and Dee would never. Dee knew exactly. And I was somewhere there, like
you just
like I'm doing well. I get it. Like we've got this life planned, but girl, this is not the life I want. So there was always a conversation of I don't think I'm gonna finish. And eventually I do walk out, and even then I guess there's still a part of you can go back. But then I just started doing stuff, and to stay in Joburg, because my parents weren't going to pay for my rent, I applied at another college to go study business administration. I had no plans of finishing. I just needed pocket money, and I needed my parents to pay for my rent while I hustle. And so I would attend class sometimes until I realized that I get 100% here.
Yeah. I remember there's a part in the book where you were like, I just stopped going to class.
Yeah, because I'm just like, ma'am, I'll teach you. Like, I know what we're doing. Yeah. And I spent time just working on my business. I would just write things down. But I woke up every day, early in the morning. Every day, I still do this. Every day I woke up with a purpose in mind. Okay. Even if that purpose was today you cleaning your fridge. But there was just a purpose in mind that will always lead to something else. Yeah.
I think also one of my biggest takeaways from this whole thing, you doing well in your studies but still letting it go, is that being good at something doesn't mean you need to stay there or that's where you're called to. Yeah. You may be called for something that's actually bigger than that. That may just be the stepping stone.
Exactly.
Because when you think about it, I was like processing like your whole journey, thinking about the fact that we look at it like, oh my God, she dropped out. And maybe you felt the shame. You obviously did. But I don't think you would be the Mpoomy Ledwaba we know had that not okayed.
Yeah.
It's almost like, yes, we're rectifying these traumas, we're rectifying these things, but when you think about it in hindsight, every single thing had to happen the way it did so that you could be the person that you are, so that you could be the Moses of this generation. You had to go through Moses. You had to go through so that we don't have to go through some of these things. So now you start Anino, right?
Yeah.
You did take a beauty course, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So it was like a beauty diploma. And the reason why I did that was they said that you could make 10,000 Rand a month.
Okay.
And I was like, I could do 10,000 Rand a month?
Yeah.
And I went and I studied beauty. I mean, there had always been love for beauty just growing up, but I never thought I'd have like a salon or anything like that. And I did the course and I was really good. And then I practiced. I was telling a girl who's in Durban while doing my makeup, she was still learning. And I said to her, how often do you practice? And she's like, I asked her, do you practice every day? And she's like, sometimes. And I said, every day when I was doing nails, I'd come home. Like, this is how I wear my nails now. Like, my nails are done, but like, this is just how I prefer them, because I'd come home and I'd put tips on my hands and I would remove them every day and put new ones every day and learn different shapes. And I'd put tips on my husband. There would not be a day, no one would come into my house and not leave with their nails being done, because that's how seriously I took it. A day would not go by where I don't do nails.
Yeah, so you must always put in that 1% daily.
Yes, every single day I lived, breathed nails. I'm sure Bengnugi acetone. I lived, breathed nails, and then I became, and naturally, of course, I'm going to get good at it because I was putting in the work. I was practicing, you know.
Sure.
I wasn't the best. I think about it now, I wasn't the best, but I was so confident.
Yes.
And because of my own confidence, I guess everybody else believed I was the best. But I think about it now, the people who worked for me were way better. But people wanted me because I guess maybe I had that confidence because of my practice, you know, the way I carried myself. And I became exceptional at that, and I did it fully until I became bored, and then I got into something else, and that something else I gave it also. I live, breathe, eat books. That's who I am now. You know, 5-10 years time, I don't know. Maybe I'm engineer, and that's what I'll be living, breathing.
And that's
but whatever I'm doing at the time, I've learned to fully immerse myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Practice does make perfect.
Practice. Those 10,000 hours, nobody can take that away from me. I could sit here now. If you bring me a nail kit, I will give you a good set of nails.
All right. Love that. So now you start Anino, right? And then obviously start small before you expand. What was your plan? Did you have the funding? Did you have it all figured out? Or you're just like, I'm starting a business. What equipped you to start the business?
In the beginning, obviously the plan was I was going to do house calls.
Okay.
Mobile salons were not a thing. At the time, I think it felt very innovative.
Sure.
My dad took my car and he went and he put, what do you call this? Stickers on the car, like nails on wheels. That's what I called it, nails on wheels. And it was mind-blowing at the time. And I did that, and that's what I thought I would do. But then within the first month, I made that 10,000 rand I said I would make. And I was like, okay, what now? I've reached the ceiling. But I thought it's going to take me 5-6 months. But within a month, I made that 10,000 rand. And I was like, okay, what now? And I did it for some time until I realized that, okay, I'm making the money. Excuse me. I'm making the money, but I don't have time. I leave the house at a certain time and I come back at a certain time. It's fine for now, but this is not the kind of life that I want. I want freedom. Like I was looking at my husband who in one gig would make what I was making. And then he had time and I don't have time. So I was like, okay, cool. Something has to change. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to bring people on board. But bringing people for house calls, I knew that they would steal my clients. So I have to bring them in a central place and save time. So that's how I started the salon.
Okay.
I went to my parents. I wrote a business plan. I presented it, shaking like nobody's business. And then they gave me a loan and I started it. It was obviously not enough. So I had also saved some money from when I was working, and we opened up. And then as that started working, then I got more interested and immersed in the business world. And then I applied for funding, got funding from NYDA.
All right.
And yeah, that's how I kind of got established.
Okay. You know, I love your integrity, right? Where there's a part where your dad loaned you, I don't know if it was both your parents, but you were loaned like 80,000 rand, right? Yes. And then when you have made it, you actually went back to pay it back, which is not a usual thing with families.
Really, guys?
Like, I promise you.
Maybe you were wrong, but for me, it's like that is exactly what you do. You said you will bring it back. Why wouldn't you bring it back?
But I really loved that integrity to say these were your parents, because sometimes in this generation now, right, there is entitlement issues sometimes. So you have this thing. It's my mom was.
Yeah,
she has to start a business for me.
Yeah.
Yes, you know. So you do tend to get overexcited and think like that. But I love that you're able to say, you know what, take it. But also I love what your dad did, say keep it, because that's what parents do. It's like, okay, we've seen that you're an obedient child, you'll bring it back, you'll go and multiply it, but we're saying keep it, go grow it, do something else. Really loved that. And then when you were doing nails and all of that, right, do you have a situation where everybody wanted you? How did you handle that?
In the beginning, it was because as my nail business was growing, so was my I guess my brand as Mpoomy, which was obviously not the goal, but it was growing, and obviously people wanted me, and it became a problem, and that's when I knew. And I was reading the book Soar by T.D. Jakes, and he mentioned that his dad's business didn't grow because his dad didn't know when to put down the mop. You know, in other words, like, leave being a worker and actually be in charge of the business. And so for me, in literal sense, it meant my business can't grow if I'm still sitting and doing nails. Like there's administration, there's finances, there's all sorts of things that I have to be dealing with. But if I'm sitting all the time, the business won't grow, you know? And so that's when I thought, okay, I guess this is the best time to move away from the chair, to drop the nail kit. And that's what I did. And my people did well. We grew even more. It was hard. I was scared that people won't come because they want me. But it was a risk I was willing to take. And that's business. You take risks. Now compared to, at the time, it felt like the biggest risk of my life. But now the type of risks I'm taking, I'm just like, how go?
They're bigger.
Yeah, like now it feels like, wow, what a simple move. But then it felt massive. It felt like it could change my business. Like my business could fail if I just stopped doing nails. But that's how you train yourself to take risks. That's how you train yourself to go bigger. It's you do it wherever you are in life at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of that. And then now you obviously get to a point where you reconcile that you need to delegate,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You need to start taking up charge as an entrepreneur, as opposed to you being physically there. What are some of the challenges you faced in the quest of transitioning from being a worker and being an actual entrepreneur that you think actually people need to be cognizant of if they're starting a business?
Sure. I think one, I was extremely trusting in that you think that people will treat your business like you. And then you just kind of let go of the reins completely. And you can never do that. And that's why you look at people who own restaurants. They're there from the minute it opens till the minute it closes. With businesses like that, every teaspoon counts. Everything really counts. You have to be meticulous. You have to pay attention to detail, which someone you hire might not always do it the way that you would do it. So one, I think it's so important that you're fully involved in your business and you know every aspect of your business. From the finances to the physical work. I mean, this helped me that on the day where everybody just up and left and quit, I was like, okay, let me put my apron back on, sit down, and I will do the nails myself, you know? If the coffee machine, someone needs to make the coffee, I'll do it. You don't want to clean up, I will do it, you know? So it's so important. I think that for me is the basics that I learned from my dad, who doesn't have a formal education in business, is that in his business, he has the humility to be everything, but also the confidence to also step up when needed, you know, to be able to say, if I need to clean the floors, I'll clean the floors. But if I need to put on a suit, I can also put on a suit and really embody that. So I think that one is very important. Number two, it's so important to not hold on to people. That took me very long to learn, to the point where I would, if someone wanted to leave, I would offer to pay for their child's school fees. I would want to pay for their transport. Listen, drop her off like I'll pick you up, you know, because I thought that if they leave, it's over. And I think I have a chapter in the book that says I am the magic, you know, and sometimes we wanna shift the responsibility, and I think it's because we fear that, hey, if this thing fails, at least it will be shared, you know. But part of owning your magic is taking the responsibility that if this thing falls flat on the floor, it's on you. And so you have to learn that people are very important. One of the most important aspects of your business. Hire slow, fire fast. It's a real thing that I've had to learn, and it sucks because it feels like, what if I never get someone like this again? And best believe, I think every time I've eventually allowed myself to let go of people who are no longer serving the business, we've gotten better. And if you don't do that, then you allow an environment, and it's like a rotten apple or rotten potato. It just festers and ruins the entire environment. So rather take out that apple or potato. Excuse me, as costly as it is, and you'll be fine.
No, I love that. And then you talk about firing faster than you hire, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is a complexity because you are Mpoomy, the my boss at
Yes,
work,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then you are Mpoomy, the influencer,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And then you are Mpoomy, wisdom and wellness
Yes.
funder, right? Wisdom and wellness is about being good energies,
Yes.
holistic. Let's get people jobs, finances, and everything. Now you are there at work, you're firing someone. Has it ever maybe impacted you or affected you where you were in so much fear, thinking, oh my God, I fired this person? What if they go on social media, they say terrible things? Am I even living up to the brand that I'm trying to preach? How do you handle those type of emotions or complexities? Because I'm sure they do, okay, because you're
Yeah.
not just Mpoomy, there's different facets to you.
Yeah. So what I've learned is the bigger my personal brand grows, the leaner my environment has to be. So at first I used to think, oh, I'm going to have a team of 20 people, whatever. And then I realized that, no, actually, my business, there's a way in which you can do business with a lean team, right? And that's why I hire slow, because I want to make sure that the people that are there are people of integrity, people of, who understand that, yes, we're a wellness company, but we're not waking up and kumbayaring. No, we create the kumbayaring for other people, and there is that misconception that you come, and I see it when people, I'll post little things and people will be like, oh, are you guys hiring? And I'm like, I wish you knew how much these girls, I work with a team of girls, these girls work. We work. We work like it is and I'm not saying we don't take our own advice. We really, really do. But when it's crunch time, it is crunch time. And I've learned now that I started hiring people based on that, the character, the skill, the work ethic. For me, work ethic is number one. So you could come with no idea on wellness or whatever, and it's fine. Eventually, in fact, everybody came in like that. It's like they're not interested in wellness.
We're not trying to read books.
No, not trying to read books. But because what we do, because I, at my core, believe so much in what I'm doing, eventually they become those people. So all of my team, we have become wisdom and wellness, but that's not what they were hired for. You were hired for your skill, but the skill remains. So, and going back to your question, yes, there has been that fear that people, and I think I have been bad-mouthed, and that comes with entrepreneurship. It really is. It is what it is. I've had to learn to get used to that. If people don't think that I'm allowed to fire them, people don't think they don't think
just Christian.
I'm supposed to be Christian, but it's that reconciliation again with my identity in Christ and also my own personality that I book girl, you are a human being with a business that needs to thrive, and I could choose in each moment. Do I choose to people please and potentially sabotage something that is generational, or do I stand my ground and be painted as this image? And it's fine. I think there's 100 other people who keep getting painted, and we recover, and we'll be fine. But it doesn't mean it's fun. You just learn to live with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I've answered you.
You have.
I know I go a very long way to get to my
You
answer.
have answered me, but I can just imagine how tough it is.
It is.
Constantly trying to. There is you, obviously, and just going into the next question. There's you, Nompumelelo Ledwaba, the brand,
Yeah.
and then there's you, wisdom and wellness, and. I mean, I'm sure sometimes you do want to breathe. I'm getting I mean, I'm human.
Yeah.
Like I am allowed to slip up in certain things,
Yeah.
right? So I was wondering that has there been a point where there's certain compromises or sacrifices you have made in order for wisdom and wellness to be what it is, but it had nothing to do with Mpoomy Ledwaba, the brand?
Sure. That's an interesting question. Sacrifices that I've had to make. Yeah, I think in the beginning, wisdom and wellness I've had wisdom and wellness for over 4 or 5 years now. And I pay for wisdom and wellness. For the longest time, it was, I've had to hire people to keep the ship running while I work for Mpoomy Ledwaba, so that Mpoomy Ledwaba can make money for wisdom and wellness, so that it can grow. And on social media, it feels like, oh, we've got a community. It's cutesy. It's not, but it's like there's a social media person who gets paid. There's research. I have to do the things. It's like now with Speak Live September, and in the middle of it, it's like I lost my mother-in-law, and it's like, oh, do I get to stop? Or do I have to continue? What does, in this instance, what does practice what you preach look like? So that's what comes on top of mind. But also even in the team, like you said, I've had to constantly have to put my foot down because I'm personable and I love having relationships with the people I work with. And I know they always say, don't become friends with your people. But I want relationships. I want personal relationships. It sometimes it's like those people become my family and they become my friends. And it's like, they're slipping up now. And I have to do that confronting thing again where I'm just like, look, I love you, but you're slipping up. Like, what is happening? So it's very hard. I'm struggling to answer your question, but on top of mind, those are some of those compromises. It's those human relationships. It's the having to work harder on this. And here's a good example. So, for example, I have no issues with alcohol. Consumed responsibly. However, there's Christians who don't think that I can say that. And they say, hey, we want to work with you. And I say to them, it's okay, whatever, but here's my conditions, you fund my festival. And they say, good shot. And festivals are very expensive. And then they fund the festival, people have a great time, and then afterwards it's like, how dare you work with an alcohol company? But it's like, how do you think these things happen?
Okay, I see that.
It's like, okay, you take, sometimes I have to take campaigns that maybe I'm not as excited about, or maybe people don't think they're just as aligned, but what are we taught when we say you have to make sacrifices? What does it actually mean? Is it sacrifices according to how you would prefer?
Yeah, your comfort, your convenience.
According to your convenience. But it's like there's constantly sacrifices. But I know what wisdom and wellness does, and I know what it needs, and I'm not gonna half-ass it or shortchange it because I'm not willing to make uncomfortable sacrifices or work extra hard so that I can serve people as best that I can. And what I'm not going to do is milk people while trying to heal and serve them. So, and also I'm not going to compromise on the quality. So it's like balancing charge right, but also it's not enough, so you have to cover it up here until the time comes where I know that, okay, there's a plan here, and I know that this plan is going to work, but it takes time and it takes sacrifice.
No, love that. You actually answered it so well.
Did I? I felt like I was going around the circle.
No, it came together at the end.
Good,
I think
good.
you got your bingo.
Good.
I've seen one thing about you. I don't know if this is an intentional or deliberate thing. You're not on every campaign.
Yeah.
Do you tell yourself that my standard answer is no?
Yeah.
Or do you tell yourself that these are the only particular brands I'll ever work with?
Yeah.
Or what informs your campaigns? Because I'm just like, this could do well with Mpoomy, but why is she not here?
So in the beginning, I was taking everything, and I knew that's what I'm doing.
Sure.
Because I wanted to get better at what I'm doing. I needed the money, I had the time, and that's the season I was in. And then I started growing, and then perhaps my fee would get 3 influencers, and a brand has the right to choose, and unfortunately I don't do discounts at this stage of my career. I have. I've done a lot of free things. I've done a lot of things for trade exchanges. I've done a lot of things, but now it's a value of my time of, do I actually have time? And also in the season that I'm in, what is my focus? So this year I was intentional about saying no more. I was like, okay, at least for the first few months of the year, in this season I say no, and then I go into a season I'm like, okay, cool, this is what's needed, this is what's happening on my social media, this is how I'm feeling. It's a yes season. So you'll find times where it's like dead quiet, no campaigns, intentionally so, and then it's like, okay, it's go time, it's go time. So I play it by where I'm at. So there's no strict rules of it, but my team knows when I say no right now, listen, you could come with a truckload of millions.
You read my mind. I was about to ask, have you ever said no to good money and a good brand where you're just like, nah?
Yes, and that is, and it's not about them, it's the integrity to myself. Okay. And I'm teaching my team the kind of person that I am. Because what am I teaching them if I say to them, hey guys, we're not taking anything, and then when there's more money, I'm like, oh guys, we're doing it.
We actually can.
I'm showing them that there's no integrity, and for me, integrity is a number one value. I will give up relationships, everything, if once I see that there's no integrity.
Okay.
If you can be swayed by money, for me, you're a dangerous person.
Okay.
And I love money.
And it loves you.
It loves me, but I've had to make a decision that it cannot be my idol. I cannot be swayed by money. I cannot be swayed by popularity. And I cannot be swayed by something that looks like it's a better opportunity. If I said I'm doing A, and A looks like breadcrumbs, I will stick to A until I have completed A, because that is integrity. And I want the people I'm surrounded by, the team that I cultivate, to lead with integrity. Because if I don't have integrity, the next offer they get, they're jumping at it. Why would I be shocked? Because that's what I do.
No,
so I do. So yeah.
Moving from YouTube, right? You start your YouTube channel, it grows, we're all watching and etc. Then how do you decide to go into podcasting?
Brendan said I should start a podcast.
Okay.
So Brendan's one of his gifts is he's very futuristic, and there's a different word to futuristic that it's not coming to mind. But he's able to see, okay, in the next 3-4 years, this is where the industry is going. This is where I think it should go. And that's been his role in the company, is that he knows where to from here. And I've learned to just trust that, even when I don't understand it. So when he said podcasting, there were no podcasts. And I thought, I don't have the voice for it. My voice is too squeaky. For me, it felt like he's saying I must go on radio. And I'm like,
It's not gonna work.
You know, and he just said, trust me. And I said, okay, I will show up. You tell me how to show up and I'll do that. And that's what I've been doing. So that's how I got into podcasting.
Okay.
But I mean, going back to like my first YouTube video, I'm doing what I've always been doing. It just has a name now and structure.
Yes.
And anyway, I never really fully enjoyed vlogging. I felt like it was it was giving a lot of my life, and I don't do well with people minding my business too much. I don't take it well at all. People criticizing my kids, my family, I don't take it well. And I just got to a point where I'm just so angry, and I'm like, I don't have to do this. And so I stopped.
Okay, now I hear that. This one, I had to ask one of my friends to give me questions, because I feel like some of the questions I wanted to ask, I had already had answers to.
Yeah.
Said I should ask you, have you ever had a moment of disobedience? Because you speak a lot on listening to the voice of the Lord, yielding and obeying.
Yeah.
Have you ever disobeyed God's instruction, and what was the consequence?
Sure. I think we all disobey more than we say. But I think I actually shared this at a speaking engagement, particularly this year. God told me, it was very clear that I needed to slow down. I didn't understand why. But now in hindsight, I understand. And I had to slow down, and I had to stop taking speaking engagements. So I had speaking engagements every weekend. Every weekend, Monday to Friday I work, Saturday speaking engagements. Even though it was in the morning, but then I knew I had time with my kids afternoon. And God almost instructed me that, no, I need you to be home with your family, just that. And at first I was like, okay. So I tell my team, I'm like, okay, guys, we, instead of taking 4 engagements a month, we'll take 2 or 1, let's do that. And we tried that. And every engagement that I took out of disobedience, I've had to pay a refund. Because I just never made it. Either I got extremely sick to the point of losing my voice, or my passport was not there, or something massive was happening in the family. I never made it to any speaking engagement until I knew that I was given up until September. And last week was my first speaking engagement back on stage. Not because I didn't say yes. I said yes disobediently, but I just never made it, and I'd have to repent. I actually apologized to my manager this one time when we had to do a refund, and I said to her, I actually have to repent, because I knew that I had to stop, but I would compromise and be like, no, just one, and that wasn't the instruction. The instruction was to stop. And we think obedience is all about just the yes, or the open doors. But obedience is also about, do you yield when God says, I'm closing the doors, you know? And this was very hard. Like, it was very, very hard. So much of it was linked to my identity, you know? But it taught me, this year has been one of the most important seasons of my life where I've detached so much, from a lot of things that I idolize. And idolatry is literally anything that's more important than God in that moment. And for the mere fact that you would say, I'll just take it, it means that in that moment it takes place more importance over God. That's idolatry. We think idolatry is bowing down to statues. No, it's putting your family before God, putting your spouse before God, putting careers before God, and that's what I was doing. And those were the consequences. Doing refunds, not showing up. I pride myself in showing up when I said I would, and having to disappoint those people. I don't know what impact they've taken, but my disobedience has probably cost them. You know, disobedience costs other people. I remember one lady, I was supposed to go to a vendor, and she was so broken that I couldn't come anymore. She said, all these people, we're expecting 500 people, and I know they came for you. And I said, I was so broken and so sorry, but there was nothing I could do. And in that moment, I realized how costly disobedience is. And I shut it all down until God said, okay, it's time.
I can do this.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That's disobedience.
And how do you handle prolonged seasons?
Yeah.
You're going through, obviously we all like good seasons, so we would never question, why am I so joyful for the next 7 months?
Yeah.
But the uncomfortable, like adversities taking place for a longer period than you would have anticipated.
Sure. I said to my friend, in fact, everyone in my team this year has lost someone. So it's been hard, navigating it as a leader, where there's just, you're dealing with real human emotions, but you're also dealing with deadlines. And our deadlines are other humans, other humans who need this as much as you do. But then my people need this. And I eventually said to my friend, it's just one day at a time. If you wake up in the morning and you can, and you've got that joy, hold on to that joy and feel it fully. And then when there's a gush of breakdown, have it. When there's sadness, be sad. When there's laughter, laugh from your belly. And that is how you handle seasons. Prolonged, uncomfortable season is that you take it with each moment. Our thing, every time we'd end a phone call, I'd say, one day at a time. Just one day at a time. I'd love to have beautiful advice, but it literally is that. It's breaking down when you need to, laughing when you need to, smiling when you need to, putting your baggage away to shop for someone else for 10 minutes, then picking it back up again. And it's just that. Waking up and sitting at the Father's feet and just saying, Aibo, I've got nothing to give, I've got nothing to say, but I'm here. And you'd be so amazed how you just leave feeling renewed, like you can do this. And sometimes you don't. And, if you can, you take a nap and you wake up and you show up again. But sometimes you just push through. That's how you learn resilience. That's how the fruit of the Spirit are developed in our lives, through hardship. The word literally says don't be sad. Don't be discouraged when you go through stuff. That's how you that's how you get developed. So we want to rush through seasons, but how else are you going to develop? So perspective also matters.
Perspective and taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 tips that you would give to a person that wants to go into podcasting and creation.
Podcasting creation. Don't do it for the money.
Okay.
I think you'll be very disappointed if you do it for the money. There is money, but don't do it for the money. I think you'll be very, very disappointed. Do it because really, don't do it for the money or for the fame. Yeah, let me say fame. I think fame is quite a a god for our generation or popularity or having a voice. Yeah, let me say having a voice. Don't do it for that. You'll be very, very disappointed. Do it because you really have something to say and you're excited about it, and it feels like another thing you should be doing in the season, right? So number one. Number two, work at it the same way you would work at everything else. At the end of the day, it requires skill. David played skillfully unto the Lord. You know, he didn't just show up because busy where he's called. No, he played skillfully. Sharpen your skill. Read a book. Do your research. Do the thing. The people will show up. The audience, whatever's supposed to happen with your creativity, whatever your creativity is, or your podcasting, it will show up. But keep doing. Don't do it for applause.
Sure.
It sounds like 1 and 2 are the same. And then the third one. What is the third one with podcasting? You get better the more you do it. Like, your first podcast will feel very awkward. You'll be nervous, and that is okay. It should be. It really should be. And then someday you'll be like, "Oh wow, I'm getting into this. That was good." And then you have another bad day, and it's okay. And something that freed me this year, after I felt like I had such a terrible conversation, I said to myself, you know, I don't owe anyone, including myself, a number one podcast mind-blowing episode every time. Nobody is 100% all the time, and it's so unfair to expect that every single time you will have a hit. And funny enough, that same episode, someone sent me a testimony about how it did something so great for them. I'm like, you see, you're thinking about how it should appear, how it should feel, but something simple could just be life-changing to someone. So don't stop.
Okay. Yeah. Practice all the time.
Yeah, keep practicing.
Love that. Okay. We're about to conclude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't ask this question. You work a lot with Brendan, right? What has it taught you about you working with him? Ne? And what are the dynamics? Where do you draw the line between support as a husband and ngisemsebenzini? I mean, it's his craft. He must pay for it. He must get paid for it.
So in terms of payment, we're very diligent with that. Everybody gets paid, including myself. I get paid a salary. He gets paid a salary. Everybody gets paid a salary. We honor that, and we had to put that boundary in place so that whether we agree or not, you have to do the work because we are at the end of the month. You know? So that boundary is very, very clear that we are running a business and we have to honor it, and we have to honor each other's gifts. And I think paying people, even if it's your little sister, whoever you're working with, compensating shows them that I honor your time, I honor your gift, I honor your contribution. It might not be what I wish I could pay you, but I see you. So that's the first one. What was the other question?
What has it taught you about you?
What has it taught me about me? What has working with my husband taught me about me? That he's taught me to learn to know when to learn to factor in human emotions.
Okay.
And it's taken so much time, and I have an ability to put emotions out and just go. And unfortunately, I would treat other people that way. But he won't budge because he's obviously my husband, and I've had to learn over time. And I'm so grateful that in this such a hard season for my team, over time I have gathered so much empathy for the people I work for. That, you know what, if a podcast should be late, and I'm not saying we shouldn't honor our work and whatever, but sometimes it calls for that, and it calls for that as a leader to say, hey, put this aside, this matters more. Like, work is not life or death. So he's taught me that.
Okay, I love that. And how do you then decide how you get increases? Is it a thing of, hi baby, let's discuss? Or is it a thing of, you're looking at, it's a serious formal, let's look at how the economy is doing, let's look at how...
We have a bookkeeper.
Okay.
We have a bookkeeper where if someone wants to buy a car or whatever, accountant looks at the books. Sorry, guys, you're not ready. Or sorry, no, you can't get increases. You're not ready, and that's it. But we're blessed that we're multi-skilled. That if I want a holiday, I can take on an extra campaign. If he wants this, he can take on an extra gig. So there's that. So we're not fully dependent on the business. Otherwise, it would break because of our lifestyle.
I hear that.
Yeah, so there's that. But in terms of the business, he's not getting 10 rand this month and then 20 next month. No,
it's set. These formal structures,
and it's formal the same way it is with everybody else, and with me as well. I don't just get to withdraw an extra 15.
We made 5 million this month.
No.
I need more.
That is the fastest way to kill a business. But yeah, there's structures in place, and that's how we survived COVID. It's that's my rigidness. I think if you had to ask him what did he learn from me, he would tell you that's what he learned.
Rigid.
Very rigid. Very integrity with money. A good steward of what you've been given.
Okay. All right, love that. And then the last question, it's not second last. What book have you read more than 2 times and why?
What book have I read more than 2 times? I don't think there is one.
There isn't one.
I don't think so. Not that I can think of. No, no.
All right. Okay.
No, yeah.
You haven't had to read a book twice. All right.
I read it once and I go in it and I enjoy it and I put it away.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love that. And then in closing, what is this season of your life?
This season of my life is duality. I'm living in the best moment of my life where I'm taking it all in so much. I am taking it all in. I am receiving the love. I'm receiving I'm receiving my flowers. And, I used to do a thing where someone says, oh, you did this, and then I'd find something to say about them. And apparently that's not a polite thing to do.
Thing.
Yeah. And now when someone
take your flowers.
Yeah. Now when someone says you did this, I say, thank you. And I sit and I listen and I take it in. But also there's a duality of loss. So much loss this year, not just in human form, but just in a lot of things. There's so much loss that some things you'll never ever talk about, and they change. It changes you as a person. But I sit in the confidence that God allowed it, so I'm meant to change this way. But it doesn't mean I like it.
Okay.
So it's that duality of there's so much beauty in my life. There's so much grace, so much greatness. But there's also so much pain. But I'm grateful for it all. Grateful for it all. And yeah, I think without the other, I would be off track. So I think God is merciful in that He knows exactly that, okay, she can handle this. She can handle this. Let's give her a dose of both and she'll be fine.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for honoring my invite.
Thank you.
I loved this conversation.
I think it's the first podcast I'm on, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it.
I think you're only on one.
It
I know
is,
you guys were doing YouTube Black or something like that. But but this is the first formal one.
Yeah, it's the first podcast
that.
I come. I'm grateful, and you're doing amazing. And I think I've watched your transformation and the things you said you were gonna do, and you did them, and you did them fully. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to know you.
I'm also so happy I get to be part of your story and you get to be
part of your story. Yeah.
Thank you so much. To everyone at home, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope it teaches you that you can become anything you'd like and that it's not the end of the world when you realize that you have to leave something that you think you're good at. You can always learn other new things. You can always grow in other areas of your life. So do not forget to be love and light. Happy Employment Wednesdays. Like, subscribe, share, and comment.